I am 101 years old, and the healthiest person I ever knew died 30 years before me. I have reflected on that for decades. What I finally understood, not what doctors or studies say, was what I saw with my own eyes. My name is Harold. I live alone in the same house I bought in 1959. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a porch that faces east. Every morning I wake up at 6 without an alarm. The floors creak the same way they did 60 years ago when I walk downstairs to start the coffee. The kitchen window faces the yard. The chair I sit in is the one my wife picked out in 1974. Brown fabric, wooden arms, worn down on the right side from decades of my elbow. I sit in that chair for about 20 minutes before I do anything else. I watch the yard. I have been doing that for 11 years now, since she passed. There is a garden on the left side that I tend myself. My son calls every Sunday at 2 in the afternoon. Those are the coordinates of my life. And I want you to hold them in your mind before I tell you what I actually came here to say. People started asking about my health when I turned 85. A neighbor told me I moved like a man 20 years younger. A doctor reviewed my blood work and said the word unremarkable and meant it as a compliment. When I hit 90, the questions got specific. What do you eat? How much do you sleep? Do you take anything? Do you drink? I answered them all. Oatmeal in the morning. Vegetables with most meals. I have never smoked. I walk every day, even now, even if it is only to the end of the driveway and back. I sleep 7 hours. I drink 1 glass of wine on Friday nights, something I started in 1971 and never stopped. People would nod slowly when I told them this. You could see them filing it away. And I understood that because I was filing it away too. I thought the list was the answer. I thought it for a long time. But I want to tell you about a man named Glenn. Glenn lived 2 streets over from me for 30 years. He was, without exaggeration, the most deliberate person about his health I have ever known. He stopped eating red meat in 1968. He was running every morning before sunrise, years before anyone called it jogging. He ordered books about nutrition from catalogs when you had to wait 3 weeks for them to arrive. He had a blood pressure cuff at home in 1975, which was unusual then. He tracked everything. He talked about longevity the way other men talked about the stock market. Constantly, carefully, with full conviction that he was doing it right. Glenn died at 71. Heart attack. His wife told me at the funeral that he had felt fine the night before. I stood by his grave in November, and I thought, something here does not make sense. I told myself it was a fluke. I told myself it once, and then I told myself it again, for about 10 more years. Because the exceptions kept coming. 3 men I served with in Korea, all of them in good shape. 2 were gone before 65. The third made it to 78, but the last decade, something behind his eyes had already left. My own brother, a man who ate fried food 3 times a week and treated exercise as something that happened to other people, lived to 89, sharp the whole way through. My wife's sister had no bad habits anyone could identify. She was dead at 74. I am not saying any of this to dismiss what you do for your health. I am saying that when I looked honestly at the evidence in front of me, The list was not explaining what I was seeing. Something else was deciding, and I did not know yet what it was. I was in my late 70s when I became genuinely fixed on this question. I started thinking backwards through everyone I had known who lived a long life. Not the ones who should have, according to the logic of the list, but the ones who actually did. And I noticed a pattern. I could not name it yet, but I noticed it clearly enough that I could not dismiss it. I'm going to tell you what it was, but first I need to tell you about the year I almost didn't make it, and the strange thing that saved me, because without that, the rest of this won't mean anything. The year I turned 78, I retired. 40 years as a civil engineer. Bridges, mostly, nothing famous. County roads, overpasses, projects that people drove across without knowing my name, which is how it should be. The last day I worked, I came home at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday, hung up my coat, and stood in the kitchen thinking, I have nothing I need to do. I thought I would feel relief. Instead, something in the house felt different, too quiet in a way I had not anticipated. Within a few months, I was sleeping later, moving slower. I stopped reading the technical journals I had read every month since 1962. I was still eating the oatmeal. I was still taking the walk. My doctor said everything looked fine, but something in me was going in the wrong direction, and I could not see it clearly because nothing hurt. I want to say that again, because I think it matters. Nothing hurt. It just quietly slowed. Then the left side of the porch started to go. The boards had been rotting for a season. My wife pointed it out, not urgently, just the way she mentioned things that needed attention. I went out and looked at it on a Thursday morning. I crouched down and pressed on the wood with my thumb, and it gave way where it shouldn't. I measured the section, drove to the hardware store, spent time in the lumber aisle deciding what I actually needed, which I had not done in months, deciding anything. I worked on that porch for 3 days, the smell of cut wood in the cold air, the specific sound of a nail going in cleanly. On the third afternoon, I put the last board down, stood up, and looked at what the porch had become. It was level. It was solid. Someone would walk across it and never know it had been broken. And I felt something I had not felt in nearly a year. I had made something better. Something existed in the world that would not have been right without me having been there that week. I stood on that porch for a while before I went inside. I did not say anything to my wife about how I felt, but I think she noticed something had shifted because she left me alone with it. That porch was not a metaphor I invented later. It was the actual moment things turned. I have gone back to it in my mind hundreds of times, not to romanticize it, but because I think it was the clearest version of something I needed to understand. The oatmeal had not changed. The walk had not changed. What changed was that something needed me. Something specific. Something I had to show up and finish. After that, I started finding things to tend. I helped a neighbor with his car on weekends, a younger man who knew less about engines than he thought he did. I took a small consulting role on a county bridge project, just a few hours a week. I started the garden, first just tomatoes, then more. I did none of this because someone told me it was healthy. I did it because I had felt what happens when there is nothing asking anything of you, and I did not want to feel that again. And then I finally saw the pattern I had been circling for years. The people I had known who lived long, not the healthiest people, but the ones who actually stayed. Almost all of them had something specific that needed their attention. Not an idea, not a goal. Something daily and concrete that would be a little worse if they were not there. A wife who needed them present. A business with their name on it. A grandchild who called on Wednesdays. A neighbor who counted on the ride to church. A tool they had used so long it fit the shape of their hand. Something that would notice their absence. That is what I saw. That is what the list had never accounted for. I lost my wife in the spring of 2014, 62 years. I will not try to explain what those first months were. What I will tell you is that the mornings became a different kind of thing. She used to already be in the kitchen when I came downstairs, not always talking, just there, her coffee mug on the counter, the small sounds of her moving. After she was gone, I would come downstairs in the same dark, pour my coffee, sit in her chair, the brown one with the worn armrest, and there was nothing, just the yard through the window and the silence of a house that had been built for two people. I kept sitting there anyway, every morning. I am not sure what I was doing at first, waiting for something, maybe. Eventually, I started watching more carefully than I ever had. The light comes over the back fence at a specific time each morning, and it hits the garden differently depending on the season. There is a moment in early November when it comes in low and turns the soil a particular color that I cannot describe accurately. I started trying to be in that chair for that moment. That became mine. That sounds like a small thing to organize a life around. It was enough. My son calls every Sunday at 2. His voice is the same voice he had at 30 somehow. My daughter-in-law sends cards in the mail, not messages, cards, and I keep them on the shelf in the hallway so I see them when I walk past. An old colleague calls every few weeks, and we argue about a bridge design decision from 1987 that we will never agree on. And I think we both know that, and we call anyway. A woman from my wife's church comes on the first Tuesday of every month. We drink tea. She tells me about people we both knew. For a long time, I thought of these things as pleasant. I now understand they are not extras. They are load-bearing. They are what the structure rests on. So when people ask me why I am still here, and they do ask, and I understand why, here is what I tell them now. I am not alive because of the oatmeal. The oatmeal is fine. The walking helps. Not smoking was a good decision. But Glenn did all of that and more, and he was gone 30 years before me. What I have that I am not sure Glenn had, what I think made the actual difference, is that every morning of my adult life, something was waiting. First it was work, then it was my wife, then it was the porch, the garden, the chair, the call at 2, the first Tuesday, the light over the fence, a day with a shape to it, things that would be undone if I did not show up. I do not think you can will yourself to live. But I think you can give yourself enough reasons that your body does not see the point in stopping. I still eat the oatmeal. I still take the walk. I still pour the wine. on Friday, but I know now those are the background. The foreground is the garden and my son's voice on Sunday, and the November light over the back fence that I have watched 11 years and am not finished watching yet. I keep thinking about Glenn, whether near the end he started wondering what I spent so long wondering, whether the running and the blood pressure readings gave him what he needed, or whether he was waiting for something else to ask something of him. I don't know. I didn't know him well enough by the end to ask. But I think about the people you know, the oldest ones, and I wonder, was it really the habits? Or was it something they had that was harder to name? Something that needed them to still be there?